Hello Targ, our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another work mode workout, and today was dynamic effort lower day. But a quick reminder, for those of you who watch these videos, please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated, and go back and click like on any of my videos you forgot to for the last day or so. I would appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I did something a little different with the speed squats now that we're able to get under the straight bar again. First couple sets were basically dog crap. I'm trying to find my grip again. Like I got under the bar pain-free last time, but I'm like, this time I need to get into a position where I can get the bar settled a hair lower on my back and a tighter position to where it's racked really tight in my hands and I can grip the bar hard so I can pull it down. Based upon that training max from Monday, I really have to get that upper back tighter, and that means I've got to be able to pull that bar down. So the first few sets were bad, but as I went, what I decided to do was, because my back thickness and everything has changed, my shoulder positions have changed since I've, rehabbed the impingement, I decided my best course of option here is to adjust the grip. Not try to find the spot on my back. I need to adjust my grip until it's in a position to where when I pull myself down to where I want the bar, my hands are already where I need them to be. Right, the width, again, some basic geometry. How wide we grip will affect how high or low our hands are. And I tinkered around with it more and more, and I went wider as I went, and I found that probably around set 6 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10, I got it in a position to where I was really happy with where that bar sat. It felt really stable. I was able to explode while keeping the bar locked in tight in my hands without having to cock my wrists super crazy or anything, because you'll see people do that. It gets into their fingertips. I wanted it in my palm where I could wrap my hands around that bar and squeeze it while keeping my arms down. So I had to find what for me now with my own anatomy is that perfect grip. And it also shows me, I'm going to keep hammering that upper back. I'm going to keep building my back big time, because I realized, again, feeling this, if I could add another inch of meat there, again, I'm going to have so much better stability. Right, it will just let me lock that in tighter. So we're going to continue doing all the face pulls and laterals and rows and everything. I'm going to keep hammering that area. Of course, triceps are going to be an ultra big priority for me. Probably the biggest. That and probably hamstrings. But keep working on that. But once I got to around set 6 to 10 here on the speed squats, I was really happy with it. I've now found the position I want to use for this moving forward. And I think for max work, I'm going to stick with probably just variations of the safety bar and the straight bar, because I was a little worried, and again, it's partially due to my racking of the bar on my back, that training max should not be so close to my safety bar. So I'm going to work on it. I'm going to push both of them really hard on the maxes and try to see if I can keep the straight bar outpacing. And I think that now that I'm a little lower on my back where I can lock it in tight, now that I've found this position again, because again, many months of no straight bar work. I've got to find those sweet spots again. And the speed work lets us do it. This is, again, one of the reasons I push speed work so hard and people don't understand. The speed work lets you dial things in like this. It lets you practice setting up your arch perfectly on your bench. It lets you find your positions, your ideal foot positions for leverage on your box squats. For the most speed, it lets you learn how to get locked in under the bar. It gives you practice with the setups, because we're doing so many sets. With such short breaks, you don't have a lot of time. You just have to dial it in fast. So again, this let me really find my sweet spots again. And the final sets, I would say probably the last 3 sets I was extremely happy with where I had that bar. I've got it in tight. I've got it where I want it. I found my sweet spot again. And I think that's going to, again, we're going to start seeing that straight bar work start climbing on those maxes. Now that I'm able to pull it all in tight where I want it. And I'm now walking around with no shoulder pain. Okay, the first couple sets hurt because I couldn't find that position. But once I found it and I got locked in tight, got it where I want it, like right here, look at that. Notice it's a little wider. But I'm able to just squeeze that bar hard. Notice my elbows, they're down. Okay, I've got it locked in tight. That's what we want to see. I found that position again, and so I'm going to keep doing speed work with the straight bar to maintain the practice on that. I can rotate bars for the max work. But for now, and as much as I would argue that I could benefit a lot from the safety bar work, I've done enormous amounts of safety bar work. I've done enormous amounts of it in the last 9 months while I've been resolving these issues. And I've hit some big maxes on the safety bar, definitely the cambered bar. We have nothing left to prove on a cambered bar. I've done a 605 back squat with a cambered bar. All right, we're strong enough on that. Let's get this straight bar work up. And we're going to do it off of this deep box work. And yes, this box is at least 3 inches below parallel. Okay, pretty damn deep. This is basically a full squat, or close to. I could pull one more pad out. Maybe I might even do that. Work on getting deeper, getting that power from that deep position. But again, this is the last set here, and I was really, really happy with the last few sets here of where I found that spot. Again, this is in a low bar position at this point, right? This is now low bar. But it felt good, and for someone who's had a shoulder impingement to be able to do low bar like this, pain-free, multiple sets, I found that sweet spot. And we're going to run with it, baby. Going to get super strong on the straight bar to match those other bars that people say, oh, that's cheating, it's not the same. Well, you can find out that it is. Speed work for the speed pulls, I only did 6 doubles. Now that's still a lot because we're doing doubles, so it's 12 pulls. I've upped the weight. I went ahead and calculated these as if it's a 600 max right now. 6 doubles. I came in so I could just focus on them and not start losing speed, rotate the grip each time. So I did 3 sets with 1 mixed grip and then 3 sets with the other mixed grip the other way. Getting used to that, again, letting me get used to this bar. Some of the sets I tried to pause at the top on the last rep, just to hold it near the end when I did the last couple sets. It's getting my hands used to this bar, which again is important because I've started doing some raw pulls again with it, like you guys saw earlier this week with that deficit deadlift max. I did it with no straps. Getting used to this bar again. My grip is getting super strong from all the pull-ups, chin-ups, and the huge amount of dead hangs I do for shoulder rehab. Hey, the grip strength's coming along. I just need to make sure my hands are tough, and they are. The 6 doubles today didn't really shred my hands up. One of my calluses is a little raw, but nothing tore. And again, with that band tension, that's a good thing, because that band tension just shreds your hands. That heavy bands, 150 pounds of bands at the top, it just shreds your hands if you're not careful with a deadlift bar. And keeping in mind, guys, I'm doing the speed work with the Texas deadlift bar. And for anyone who's used a couple different deadlift bars, because I own a couple different, I own the Rogue Ohio and I own the Texas deadlift bar, it is more aggressive. This is the most aggressive knurl I've ever pulled on, and it's what's used in most of the competitions. For untested comp in the US, it's the bar that you're going to pull on. So, making sure my hands are tough enough to handle that. I'm letting all the overhead work handle my grip training. And it's good grip training. So this isn't really true grip training. It might be because of the bands, but really it's hand toughening. But very happy with this, good and explosive. Again, we ran 300 with 150 band tension. So again, that's how we would program for, say, a 600 max. In keeping with my pattern of 6s, and I probably am going to talk more about this, is something I put a lot of thought into of why I'm doing more 6s right now. It has to do with the fact that I'm inside the real hypertrophy zone that we're looking for minimal sets, right? It's 6 to 20 reps, really. It's usually kind of your sweet spot. But it's heavy enough to maximize tension, but few enough reps that I can be intentional. I can be focused. So this was 331 on the safety bar for 6. So for me, this represents close to being able to PR on this bar again, to have even done 3 sets of 6 with this weight. But I like this because it lets me get heavy enough to get good tension on the muscles for a large number of sets. The reps are low enough that I can stay focused and intentional without wasting too much recovery on junk reps. And I do some high rep stuff. I mean, I don't want people to think I'm not. I'm still doing 25s on the reverse hypers today, for example. Right, you guys still see me doing really high reps for things like rear delts, side delts, right? All those things I'm doing very, very high reps still. Reverse hypers, very high reps. Most of my other stuff is closer to 6 to 8. Trying to focus on a lot of 6s. And then we do maxes and speed work. But again, I feel like I can focus really hard for 6 reps. I can focus on staying tight. I can focus on moving the weight correctly, focus on my body mechanics without losing any tightness. But it's not so heavy that it's going to beat me up. We're still light enough that we get good volume, good effective reps. So I'm going to mess with it for a little while. I'm going to mess with it for a little while on a lot of my work, not all of it. I do some stuff that's higher rep, but I do a lot of total sets per week. Again, this is going to be my lowest volume accessory day. Is going to be speed lower because I do so much volume on the speed work itself. But I was happy with the way these felt, and these were hard. That last rep, I don't know that I had another safe rep in the tank. It was pretty tough. But, 331 for 6s on the safety bar. I'll take it. Keeping in mind I do well over 500 with 2 of my other bars for a max. That bar is harder. Split squats. I started finding my sweet spot on these, so I went ahead and added 5 pounds. I just did 2 sets of 6 because now that I found that sweet spot, my quads were just throbbing after each set, and especially after doing all that speed work. That speed work is a lot of quad volume. This is just coming in and making sure that we get a little bit of heavier tension on those muscles on a lift that we can recover from. I've explained before why I'm doing split squats. And I am set up in a way to where I'm getting a deep knee angle. I've had some people say, well, I don't like that depth. I'm like, look at my knee angles. Don't worry about where you think my hip is relative to the floor. If we're doing this for quads, we're worried about knee angle. Let's not pretend I don't get an enormous amount of hip extensions training with what I do. I'm worried about that knee angle. That is a knee angle that would represent for me on a back squat parallel or lower. That's all I care about. That's what I care about. I just want to build that quad up for that. I want my quad stronger coming out of the bottom of a squat. And I'm doing these also to potentially help break the bottom out of a conventional deadlift. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Again, because of some of the rectus femoris activation and everything. 2 sets of 6. These were hard today. But like I said, I went up 5 pounds. And now that I'm there, I'll do 3 sets on the other day because I don't get as much quad work on my max day. And I'll try to slowly load these up, but I need to be able to complete sets of 6s and feel like I have a hair in reserve when I get there in order to do that. All right, same thing here. Instead of trying to do 10 to 12 with a 10-pound weight, I'm going heavy on these. And I know it looks a little sloppy and a little funny. My hamstrings are doing a lot of work. I am not a light guy. I weigh a lot. And doing this 25-pound plate, and I'm on the hardest setting I can fit into, all my hamstrings were firing super hard. So we did 3 sets of 6 with the 25. And again, I know I always have a little bit of a hip motion when I do this. I cannot ever seem to get into back extension when I do these, even with body weight for sets of 20. You guys have seen me do 5 sets of 20 with my body weight in a single workout. I just can't find that position. But it doesn't matter. Do you know why? Because my hamstrings light up. And if I'm not careful when I climb off of this, or what I do between sets, my hamstrings will cramp. So this hits my hamstrings super hard, and it hits them in a different way than all the hip hinge movements, and that's why I do it. Again, making sure my hamstring is getting full development, because I could develop all the heads that we need to move big weight for deadlifts and stuff. I can get that off all the hip hinges. I'm doing this just to reduce injury risk by fully developing the muscle, right? And of course, to fully develop the muscle, the third head that doesn't get worked quite as much with hip hinge. But again, I decided, let's go heavy. Let's put some tension on there. I want to get that muscle used to firing hard against heavy tension while still getting enough volume for hypertrophy. And then we finish off with reverse hypers as usual. And this is, again, 3 sets of 25. That's my norm. And I'm just sticking with a weight for now that is challenging for 25. I'm usually burning. I'm lit up. My hamstrings are pumped and burning. My glutes are pumped and burning. My low back feels, again, the way the low back feels on the reverse hyper. It's not the same feeling. I'm not going to say it feels pumped. Anyone who's used this understands it's a totally different feeling than any other lift on your low back. And it's not a normal pump or anything you get. It's that stretch it gets. And it gets to a point where when you're doing a lot of weight on it like I do now, it's no longer comfortable on your back. It's not really a nice feeling like it was when we started, when we started out with 2 plates, like I did at first. It felt like someone rubbed icy hot on my spine. It was just tingling and I had to take a nap. Now it's work. So it's not really that level of comfort anymore, but it still gives a restoration effect. So again, I push this lift hard. Again, I work with 500 pounds for high reps on it. And it lights everything up. Again, I feel the glutes. I feel the hamstrings. I feel the low back. They're just a different feeling in each one. But really, as far as an intense contraction goes, I feel that in the glutes on this. So this exercise, I feel more intense contraction in my glutes than I do on anything other than maybe a deep box squat. But the deep box squat is a different feel. It's like a stretch. This isn't. This is a contraction. So you feel that contraction at the top and when it jerks back down. So it feels almost like a concentration curl for the glutes. To me, that's how I would describe it. But again, it's a staple, and I think everyone should own one of these. If you're a lifter over 40, you better have one of these in your house or at your gym. Like, it should not be optional. And if you're over 40, you can afford it. Don't pretend like you can't come up with $500 for a reverse hyper. 8 of my clients have bought one now. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.